Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Plus Three Futures and Commodities Show. We are recording here on Saturday morning, the 27th of December. This is our holiday edition. We are between Christmas and New Year, so we're going to do a little short show just to sort of give you a primer on the major indices and what's happening as we head into this last part of 2025. Can you believe it, Barry? It's only a few days left in 2025.
Uh, I don't know why it's so hard for me to work with time when it comes to life. Markets are fine, but yeah, the calendar just cruise control, super
Oh,
fast.
it just rips. It just
Yeah,
rips in terms
yeah.
of time. Yeah, and next
hmm
year, the cycles for 2026 are pretty rough. So we're going to be looking for clues in the price patterns and the pattern
hmm
recognition that we do to see if how we can best navigate this. But let's jump right in on the S&P.
hmm
We made a new high, poked ahead a little bit, right?
Yeah, yeah. And we talked about it last week. We were looking for the market to go higher because that's kind of, like were just saying, we did a lot of talking just to say, I think that we thought it was going higher because that's where all the patterns were sort of pointing. And picking it up from there. So we went higher. All right. Now what? So it's always now what?
And
You
the
pointed
now,
out,
the now what, Barry?
huh?
Remember we talked last week about that pattern in early 25? We now
hmm
have the poke higher high that we had in February of
Right
this
about.
year. Yeah,
hmm
that exact spot. I mean,
Yep.
I know these
Yeah.
things don't repeat exactly, but that's freaky how similar it is.
It's hard not to notice, right?
Yeah.
And buckle up a little bit at least.
Right.
Right? I mean, look at when you see that. I mean, I remember looking at that. I remember looking at those. So yeah, we're pretty much at a place like that. And I guess the sentiment is more or less the same, if I remember correctly.
hmm
Now, the thing is, let's take a look at where we are in terms of the squares. You pointed out the square 270 days out, which comes on January 2nd, interestingly.
Yeah.
And the square to the upside on the cash is basically 7,000. You can see that, right? It
Sure. Sure.
comes up, yeah, it's 7,000 and a little bit of change. Now, this sets up a hell of a lot of possibilities. But I'm going to try to, it's a holiday edition. I'm going to try to keep it short, summarize it, just get down to the brass tacks, I guess. We're looking at this square, so it's hard to sort of ignore that and say, well, we could just turn here, which we could. If we do that, look for, I mean, the best clue is we have a new high. We have a potential false break here. The idea would be we would have to like reverse immediately, and that would give us set up a false break. Otherwise, it just looks like we should float up into 7,000 and tag that. We've been talking about that target for a while, and futures got super close to that. So it just seems like we should tap that before anything happens. Now, the thing is, we could tap that in one day, and it might be said and done. So, as you
I mean
guys know,
that 270 by 270 would be too perfect, wouldn't it?
yeah, it would be it would be too
It'd be
perfect.
so great.
But they happen. They do show up, and that's the whole thing.
Sure, sure.
And it could. I mean, timing, everything, seasonality, timing, some of the other cycles, shorter cycles, everything is there. And I think one of the really important things to watch here is, I mean, it might be off by a day or two. And if that's the case, we would get a 45-day run into that end, that would give us a 45-day last leg, which is a terminal, sort of a terminal leg. So we want to watch that that move as well as the low coming from the April. And that's kind of how I'm watching the pattern on the basis of the daily. Anything you want to add to that, Ben?
I think that additional 45 is another good marker to look at.
Yeah, it's something to watch, right?
hmm
So those are the things sort of to keep an eye on. Let's take a look at here's the continuation. And this is from the 22 low. So for this to really reach the next level, it'd be about 71.23. Not sure if we'll get there quite, but that's the space, right? If we get close to it and everything else squares out, it, things will set up for a high. But either way, notice the pattern here is that we're getting close to a target, right? So
It
that's
looks
the
like it looks like we're at the three quarters or near the 7/8 there, right?
we're very close to 7/8. Yep.
Mm.
So something can happen there. Now here's the calendar day continuation chart, which this is coming off the April low. Again, here we have 7,007, and we're very close. And now we did talk about this expanding triangle, so that madness could continue. If that's that, I mean, when we see something like this until it's finished, we have to sort of keep that in mind. If that's the case, it could easily come back down to 67.50, this area, and wrap that up, right? Wrap up, continue to fill the expanding triangle. And the thing with the expanding triangle, you just can't ignore this pattern. It could be a type of distribution. And so you know what that means. So we have to keep an eye on these things as we move forward. So something worthwhile. This is the calendar day chart, by the way. And let's take a look at the front month. Front month, we drew this trend line last week, talking about, that's really what we have to do is settle above that 50% level. That would open up a little bit, moving a little bit higher. And that 50% level was right around 69.57, 69.60. And we did, we broke higher. We sat above 2 days in a row. If we get a false break against a high on the 11th, we ought to be doing it like now. There's no time left. And that would mean Monday. Otherwise, if we can manage, any kind of flush in the morning and hold above this level, we could pull higher. There's no question about it. So we want to keep that in mind. Yeah, here I would be really looking for that to be holding as support or resistance, right? That's the main idea. Anything you want to add there, Ben?
It's interesting that and you and I were just talking about this, the front month did not make a new high while the cash and the
Mm-hmm.
continuous did.
Right, right. So we want to keep an eye on all these little pieces that are happening,
Hmm.
while not losing sense of the bigger target. So NASDAQ, I know you're going to cover the other, the higher time frames, but here again, I'm just keeping the same score coming off the April low. You can see, we pulled higher again. I mean, this is prime territory for pulling a potentially, a false break. So we want to really watch that closely. And if we can manage to hold above, we do have a target up here, 26,573. Now we did get very close to that. Everything squared out at this high. We had to pull back. Now we're looking at this ABCD, sort of a continuation, which potentially setting up a Gartley here. Um, we'll see how that move ends. I mean, but we have to keep an eye on that also. I mean, this is in all the markets, but here it's sort of obvious, right? So you definitely want to watch this trend line. And we can say it's kind of in between. We're at the quarter line. This high came in at the quarter of the square, and now we're just bumping up against that. So is that a point of resistance? Yes. Um, Now, if we have a little bit left to go higher, obviously we want to hold above these highs. So if you guys want to just keep an eye on the charts, figure the highs above December 5th, right? We want to be above those. Otherwise, we're going to compress here and either roll over, because this looks too good to roll over. And the ABCD is not quite done yet. Seems like there might be a little bit more before it's all said and done. Meaning all said and done, meaning we are flirting with some bigger cycle coming into January. So are we going to be a little bit early? Are we going to be a little bit late? Sort of like what happened earlier this year. We'll see what happens. But for now, you guys have a kind of a reference as to what's pulling the markets up versus where the support levels are. And we'll cover more of the NASDAQ when we get to when Ben pulls up the charts. Dow futures flirting with this high, the resistant level. We got 49,484 being a target, and we're just I would say it's a target that we can hit within one day. So if you notice, a lot of these markets are getting close to potential targets, meaning full squares or half squares. So we want to watch this really close next week and not sort of fall asleep at the wheel, because it's been a pretty good run so far. We held here, we've been pushing higher nicely, but now it's coming up into a area in time and price where you have to watch a little bit. And if it settles above these levels, great. We can just trade with it. But in the meantime, you want to be aware of what's coming up on the radar. Well, that's it for for indices. You want to add anything overall? Now that you.
No, I think what you said is key, is that we're coming into these critical spots, timing wise,
Mhm.
price wise. We just have to now watch the price action to see, okay, what's more likely to happen.
Right. We definitely want to watch that and watch these. 7,000 plus or minus is really where the seems like where everybody wants to go.
Hmm.
I just want to look at show you guys a weekly really quick. So here's the cash weekly, and I had the 69.25 as a 50% level on the weekly. And that's pretty
Hmm.
good resistance. Now, obviously we can go up and straddle this, tap 7,000 and not be able to settle above and slip below. So you want to watch this level, watch this going forward basis the weekly, because this is going to give us a bigger picture, because if we can
Hmm.
settle above that, certainly we can blow through 7,000, get to 7,300, 7,200. I mean, that's not even a question, but we want to watch price action here. I mean, even if we get some kind of a pullback, it'll show up around these key levels. So sort of like we did here, this is where the January comes up. It was a 50% level that sort of terminated this whole thing early in the year, and now we're at another 50% level. So you're
Just,
right. There
yeah,
is a
basically have gone one square in time.
exactly, exactly. So we want to watch that very closely.
Hmm.
And looking at the continuation chart, looking a little bit more motivated, let's say. We got above
Mm.
the 50% level, and in a pretty strong way, right? So, and that 50% is 60, 68.88. And the next full square, this is basically weekly, is 72, 72.43. Now, we do have a quarter square before that, right around 70, what is it? Yeah, 70.50, 70.65. So that's a possibility. We'll keep an eye on that. But the cash chart kind of rules, So we want to watch this very closely and see how we manage to handle this 50% level. Yeah, so that was the important one.
We got to
Uh,
look at the metals, right?
Got to look at the metals. Bonds, well, sort of sleep at the wheel, so we have to kind of watch that. We're consolidating, so we'll pick it up next week. Crude, pretty much the same story. We're just what I feel like is putting in a low. I mean, obviously, right? Again, we're waiting till things sort of start settle and start to turn around. So I think it looks like we have more time. Metals are on fire, and if it's on fire, well, we're not going to be complaining or touching this. There's nothing negative to say other than when things are in runaway mode, you have to let it run.
Hmm.
Uh, Coming off the June low, this is the daily chart. 360 degrees up would be around 46.93. So that's potentially a target up above. And, as long as we can hold about 4,500, looks like gold's in pretty good shape. And silver, I just want to show you guys the entire chart here. You guys can see it.
No,
There you
that's
go.
not NVIDIA.
Yeah, yeah. Unbelievable, right? So we would think I was talking about how 72 would be such a good target. Well, sure, why not 80? So we went to 81, very close to 81, which is another division of the square of square of 144. So we're up at 81. All right, 81 silver, that's fine. Now 71.50, 72 is basically the support level. So long as we can let them handle be above that, we can continue to go. The thing with these runaway, when they go parabolic, is it's very difficult to say exactly when, except in this case, coming off the low in 22, you can see we're 864 bars out. That's 3, 4, 5, 6 squares out. We will square out here right about 80, between 80 and 81. And that's coming up next week. So that's a possibility. So watch out for silver topping out around 80, 81 and taking a little break. But going parabolic, man, when we're at this vertical level, it can just might as well stop at 108,
Yeah, I mean
So
the lessons from these charts is when they go parabolic, they go higher and further and longer than you think. So that's
yep.
lesson number one. And lesson number two that we can really apply because I mean in a parabolic market, you got to be in and then just let it run. I mean, that's the only thing to do. But the lesson is every time we pushed higher and then consolidated, we told you it was bullish, right? It
Right.
wasn't it wasn't pulling back a lot. It was just sort of burning off time. Every single time
Hmm.
gold did it and silver did it, and those were the clues that, when this thing went, it was going to go and it was going to go hard.
Yes. And the only thing depressing is like you're always thinking, gosh, I should have done more.
I
And
now don't have enough.
never enough. What to do, right? There's really, I don't know. There's no
Well,
cure for it.
it's the old adage, right? You always have too much when you're wrong, and you never have enough when you're
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah. Just what to do. Well,
Yeah,
live and learn.
yeah.
So that's the thing with silver. It looks like we obviously we're squaring out here at about 81 coming up next week. And the key here is if we can jump above 80, 81, then we open up further. And as long as we can hold above 72, we're in pretty good shape. Copper finally went up and hit the square level. Now, this is the thing. So gold's pretty close, silver's pretty close. Copper actually hit a level. Granted, they're coming from different lows, but we want to watch this pretty closely. This is kind of a target. Obviously, if copper settles above this 587 level, it's going to be on fire. So
Hmm.
that's just how that's going to be. So watch out for that. We have a potential ABC setting up, but let's see how we do at this 587 level, if we can take out the old high or not. But I mean, metals are on fire, and I'm sure all this is pointing to different things, and I'm not quite at a place where I can know exactly. You know what I mean? Maybe when we get closer to the event, we'll know.
The only thing we do know is it's signaling something systemic.
Yes, I mean, look at silver.
Yeah.
All right, so getting back to the dollar, let me wrap this up. Well, dollars get a little weaker than I would imagine, but it just looks like we're putting in a better bottom. So
I
let's
mean, Barry,
script.
with the metals doing what they're doing, wouldn't you think the dollar would be at 50?
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Good point. Very good point, right? So perhaps that's the case. And if that's the case, dollar's doing pretty well,
Yeah.
holding these
Yeah.
lows here.
Hmm.
All right, so let's see how that works out. But for now, looks like we're back in the bottoming area, right? We're stuck back here. And the euro went up into the three-quarter square again, and we're backing off a little bit. So this is the really the level, let's say 1790 is a level to get above if we're going to move higher. Otherwise, I think it's going to consolidate, get stuck here, and then roll over. That's that. Bitcoin, what's happening? Well, we talked about the low. We called out the low, got a nice move out of there, and now we're basically holding above it and consolidating. Starting to form a triangle. Down market triangles are super dangerous if they don't break, if they don't really break to the upside. These are really nasty. So we want to, my guess is this low is going to hold, and we're probably going to come up and test this, 83 area at worst, flush it out a little bit, and then maybe move higher. That's what the pattern looks like. But like I said, if we can hold these lows, and if we go a little bit deeper, the gravity is just going to pull it down. And this also looks like, this could be a one, and a messy sort of a complex two would give us a three, and that could settle to the upside. But I can see the downside scenario just easily. But the low squared out, we'll see what happens. We are spending a lot of time uh, with the low intact, so that we're burning off time without really making up in price, and that might be all it's got. But as long as the low is in place, we have to go with the square, and every bar is going to help us figure out the next well the direction.
It's almost the inverse of what silver and gold did on the way up, huh?
Yeah, well, so much for all that talk, right? I mean, incredible, man.
Yeah.
What a time, what a time.
Yep.
Um, but it's still at 83, I know, 87,000 and nothing
Yeah. I
to,
mean,
you
yeah.
know,
It's not at 1,000.
no, no. And yeah, but let's see how that works out. So far, that low seems to be holding. Hang Seng, no new highs, but it's managing to stay at stable levels. It's been there since August. Also kind of looks like distribution, but if we
Hmm.
can start pulling a little bit higher, it could be accumulation. But let's see. For now, it's just holding. Not much to do between these levels. You can see it's all chopped. And that's it for me. Let me put it back to you and get into the NASDAQ and look a little deeper, see what we see.
Okay.
Well, that ABCD is pretty clear, huh? It's just a matter of where is that D going to be?
Hmm.
That's the,
That's right.
it's a kind
And
of a Gartley, that if that Gartley works out, it'll be classic. Oh my God.
yeah.
But let's
Yep.
see. Hmm.
Yep. That's definitely setting up. The key level last week that we discussed was the 25,720. We're now
Yep.
above it.
Yep.
Um, I, 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 I'm reluctant to say, okay, we've cleared it and we're going to go because it's, been holiday trading, but
Hmm.
price is price. And as long as we're above it, we're in good shape. So this coming week, and into the new year, just watch this 25,720. If we fall back below it, that's a bad sign
Yeah. Yeah.
because it'll give us a lower high, a
False
false
break.
break,
Hmm.
all kinds of things that could, start the downside moving. But as long as we stay above it, we should
Hmm.
have enough strength to push and challenge the highs over here that we saw back in October. So that's your operative price. Watch that one on a daily basis. Let's take a look at the weekly. The weekly shows we got a reversal this week. We had a higher highs compared to last week, so we had two down bars, and now we've got an up bar. We're going to watch and see if it can take out those highs. The next level would be this 3/8 here, which is around 26.2. Yeah, 26,150, 26.2. That's going to be your next spot to watch. What we don't want to see if you're bullish is you don't want to see this past week's low getting taken out because then that would be just a one bar counter trend and that would be a sign of weakness.
Yep.
So let's watch the high and the low from this past week and see which one gets taken out first. That'll be a clue to watch. Let's quickly look at the monthly. The monthly so far, we're inside with a few days left. We want to see if we can take out the high of last month's bar, which was, what's the high there? It was 26,266. So if we take that out, that'll give us a reversal bar on a monthly basis, and that'll mean we're going to probably push higher. So not a lot of different takes here from the last few weeks. It's still that 25,720 is key. As long as we're above it,
Hmm.
we can push below it. Again, it's a 360 mark off of that 2023 low. If we get stuck below it, it's going to signal a lot more weakness.
Right.
There are upside targets above. You can see the 26,450, and then if we take out that high and can sit on it, 27,000. But this something's telling me the battle here at 25,720 is not done yet. And maybe
Yeah.
we come back and check it and then go. That would be
Hmm.
very bullish. But we really want to focus in on that area. So not much different than what you were showing in the other indices,
Hmm. Hmm.
There's the
Yep.
there's
Yep.
there's still a lot of questions that remain open and haven't been answered yet.
Yeah. And if you're looking at the weekly charts, like the cash weekly we looked at, we're at a very critical level, kind of like your 25,720, because we have to settling above or below that is the key. So
That's right.
we're at those levels now. Just so, but this Gartley keeps making me think the potential Gartley, I should say,
Hmm.
that no, we don't have to make an ABCD. We can just go a little higher and settle lower if we're weak. So that's something of a potential to watch.
I'll just
And
put it in here so people can
yeah,
see it.
and these are the kind of patterns that get the crowd going. That would certainly give us a new high and all the good things at the
Yeah,
same time, terminating the entire leg.
that's right. It would be classic, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So we want to keep an eye on that. Not that it's necessarily going to be, but if we settle above B, we really have to be thinking higher, right? Getting up into that 26,453 level that you got on the board.
No question.
Yeah.
No question. That's going to be that's why I say let's watch this coming week and in early in January to see can we have we actually cleared that 360, 360 degrees up, that
Right.
25,720. Have we cleared it or is this just holiday noise in here?
Hallucinations.
Yeah, because if we do, I think you're
Yeah.
right. I think getting up into that target box would be completely reasonable and something that you could for sure trade that because the odds are
Right.
in your favor.
Yeah. But while
And
that's
then
there, the key, like you said, the thing to do is, yeah, target could be there, but watch the floor, watch 25,720.
yeah, because if we do get stuck under it, that's really really concerning for the Bulls.
Yes.
Because minimally we would be doing like an ABC down, and worst case scenario for the Bulls, this could be the first leg, this could be the counter trend, lower high, big
That's
move
the
down.
thing. Exactly.
And that,
Exactly.
I mean, we always talk about that's the setup that we look for. All the tools we used are designed to try and isolate that,
Hmm.
lower high or higher low if it's
The big
bullish
impulse. Hmm.
to get that big impulse wave that comes. And
Hmm.
so uh, we're always trying to bring it to your attention when the potential is there. In this case, the potential is there because as of now we have a lower high,
Hmm.
and the lower high invites sellers to come in when it reverses. Especially if it reverses below a key level like this 25,720.
Yep. Yep.
So we watch it and we're flexible. If it stays above, we were bullish and we're going to trade to the upside. If it gets stuck below, we're going to turn bearish very quickly and jump on the downside.
Hmm.
And I think, as Barry was showing you in the S&P and the ES and a few other charts, there's a lot of that undecideds, so to speak, in terms of probabilities. Undecideds in the charts that we just need to see some more price action to get an understanding of, okay, which side has a better chance and which side has a more likely outcome.
Hmm.
So even though you're on holiday, even though you're, enjoying time with friends and family, peek in on your charts next week and just see, are we clearing these key levels or are we failing at the key levels? Because then that'll give you a really good idea where to focus and what direction to go.
Yep.
That's all I got. Um, Glad you guys tuned in for the holiday show. We just wanted to share a little quick review. We'll be back to the normal schedule probably next weekend, right? We'll jump
Yep.
on we'll do
Yeah.
a full show next week.
Hmm.
We'll have the monthlies printed, so that'll be helpful in terms of bigger picture direction. But we hope you guys are having a great holiday season with your families and friends and all the best next year. Prosperous 2026. Hopefully the information we're providing is helpful. If so, please, like and subscribe and ring the bell and set the alerts and all those things. And we'll see if we can grow the channel next year. We did pretty well this year growing it. Let's see if we
Hmm.
can match it next year.
Sounds great. All right. You guys have a great week. And thanks, Ben. We'll see you later.
Take care,
Take care.
everybody.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.